はい。
すみません、NHKの高橋です。お願いがあります。中国がですね、今年から9月3日、今日なんですけれども、抗日戦争勝利記念日と定めまして、盛大なセレモニーを行いましたけれども、どの程度の受け止めを示していますか。
そうした行事の内容についてはですね、中国の国内の話でありますので、日本政府としてはコメントは差し控えたいというふうに思います。その上で申し上げればですね、日本と中国というのは国際社会の平和と繁栄のためにですね、共に責任を有する国家であり、国際社会が直面する共通の課題に未来志向の協力関係を発展させる姿勢こそが重要ではないかというふうに考えております。いずれにせよ、第二次世界大戦を含む歴史問題に関する日本政府の立場というのは変更はなく、また平和国家としての戦後の我が国の歩みは国際社会からも高く評価をされているところであります。本件を含む歴史問題にですね、かかる最近の中国側の動向については引き続き注意を払っていきたい、こういうふうに思っています。
In Beijing, China is marking the 69th anniversary of its victory in the war of resistance against Japanese aggression. And the war of resistance began in 1937 when Japan launched a full-scale invasion after the July the 7th incident, also known as the Lugo Bridge incident. And the 8-year war cost more than 35 million Chinese lives, both soldiers and civilians. A special commemoration has been held in the Museum of the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression in Beijing. And Chinese President Xi Jinping, along with other state leaders, veterans and young people, attended the ceremony, which was presided over by Premier Li Keqiang. During the ceremony, the 1,500 attendees all sang the national anthem played by a military band. A 14-gun salute was also fired to symbolize the 14 years of endeavor fighting against the Japanese aggressors. And after the attendees observed a minute of silence for those who lost their lives in the war, accompanied by the song dedicating flowers, President Xi Jinping and other state leaders presented flower baskets to the martyrs at the museum, and doves were later released to symbolize the hope for peace. And now here is a look at how September the 3rd came to be formalized as a victory day in Chinese people's war of resistance against the Japanese aggression. On August the 15th, 1945, Japanese Emperor Hirohito gave a recorded radio address in which he announced his country's surrender, and the surrender ceremony was held on September the 2nd aboard the American battleship, the USS Missouri. Officials from the Japanese government signed the Japanese instrument of surrender, thereby bringing the fighting in the World War II to an end. On February the 27th this year, China's top legislature passed a draft decision to formalize September the 3rd as the Victory Day. The decision was made at the bi-monthly session of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress. Through legislative procedures, the day aims to reflect the will of the Chinese people and also acts as a reminder of the need to remember history. But very few people know that Zhejiang, a small and quiet county in central China's Hunan province, is the site of Japan's first formal surrender to China after World War II. Our reporter Xia Ruitue went to the county to get a glimpse of its history.
On August 21st, 1945, representatives of the Japanese military signed a memorandum of surrender in Zhejiang County in Huaihua, Hunan Province, acknowledging its defeat by China. In the 69 years since, everything at this site has been kept in its original condition. Though it's not swarming with people like many other tourist destinations, its historical stature still beckons visitors.
It's very important for all the Chinese people to remember what happened in Zhejiang in 1945. It marked the first time in modern times that Japan was presented as a loser in the war, begging for China's orders.
A recently discovered 20-minute video shot by a U.S. journalist has shed more light on what happened that day. At 11:15 a.m., Japanese Vice General Secretary Takeo Imai and a delegation of 8 people landed at Zhijiang Airport. The convoy circled the airport with white flags on their cars. Xiao Yisu, a Chinese army chief of staff, then led the 1-hour surrendering ceremony. Takeo Imai accepted the details of the memorandum.
这段视频我们找了20多年。
Japan had to refer to Germany's surrender because it did not have any experience in surrendering. The whole process took 52 hours. It marked an end to 80 years of Chinese forces fighting the Japanese invaders. I'm so excited that we found this film after 20 years of searching.
Zhijiang was chosen as a surrender site because of its role as an important military fortress during the war. It was home to the second largest airport in the Far East battlefield that provided cover for a number of planes. It later also became the base for the famed Flying Tigers Air Squadron, led by the U.S. General Claire Chennault, which helped resist the Japanese forces. A museum commemorating General Chennault and his Flying Tigers was also constructed in Zhijiang. Nearly 1,400 historical artifacts demonstrating the pilot's bravery are on display there. This is the museum's of Hero Wall. On it are the names of 2,193 pilots who made up Flying Tigers. It honors courageous men who helped end the war and bring about the peace. Together, the museum and the surrender site reflect Zhejiang County's crucial role in the war and its undeniable place in Chinese history. 夏瑞雪 CCTV, Zhejiang County, Hunan Province.
You're watching CCTV News. A U.S. military strike in Somalia.
At the beginning of the documentary, Christy Neeb makes clear his stance over the Diaoyu Islands.
People from outside China, especially from Western countries, they prefer to use the name, Japanese name, Senkaku Island, not Diaoyu Island.
But that's wrong.
But you use the Chinese name Diaoyu Island, the truth. Why do you do that?
Because the Diaoyu Islands have been Chinese territory since ancient times. Already in the maritime charts of Cheng He, in his charts you can see the Diaoyu Islands are part of China. And after Japan illegally annexed the Diaoyu Islands after the Shimonoseki treatment in 1895, only in 1900 they changed the name to Senkaku Island.
Another historic fact is that Japanese maritime charts of 1783, as well as the official 1876 map of Imperial Japan, show that the Diaoyu Islands were not part of Japan.
The film not only presents the historical facts and documents about territorial entitlement, but also discloses brutal atrocities committed by the Japanese army in China. Most horrible are the Nanjing Massacre and the bacteriological tests on civilians.
With experiments of bacteriological warfare with bubonic plague, cholera, anthrax, and other lethal diseases. During the Second Sino-Japanese War, weapons of mass destruction were extensively used against the Chinese, forced into sexual slavery in Japanese military brothels in occupied countries. Hundreds of thousands of comfort women endured serial rape day and night in these so-called comfort stations. They came from China, Korea, and later from all over the Japanese-occupied territories in Asia, among them Australians as well as Dutch from Indonesia.
Germany and Japan were defeated at the end of World War II. After the war, Germany had a very open and honest attitude to the atrocities it had committed. In December 1970, German Chancellor Willy Brandt fell spontaneously to his knees as he lay a wreath at the memorial for the Jews murdered in 1943 in the Warsaw Ghetto. The iconic photo was seen by the entire world.
So, what did that historic moment mean to you, I mean German people?
we were happy because we have had terrible history in World War II. I was certainly touched because I'm a very emotional person and always very interested in geopolitics and always in these nuances, you see, which are changing. Instead of going to the Tsukunami temple, shrine in Tokyo, he would be better advised to go to Nanjing and kneel down in Nanjing and say sorry.
To this day, no post-World War II Japanese government has apologized to China for the war crimes of Imperial Japan.
The United States of America can quell the tension by encouraging its Japanese ally to return the Diaoyu Islands to China and apologize to the Chinese people for the war crimes of Imperial Japan. Our world has become a global village. We depend on each other. We must understand and respect our diversity. The forces of history determine the future. Thank you.
And with that, we come to the end of special coverage of the 69th anniversary of China's victory in the war of resistance against Japanese aggression. And President Xi Jinping, along with other state leaders, veterans, and also young people, have attended the ceremony. And next coming up is a weather update. After that, another news update.